Glyph stones can be an absolute pain to track down, go out and farm, and figure out where to actually get each individual one. But in today's video, I'm actually going to show you each individual glyph stone, where to go to farm them, and which ones are going to be the most valuable for you if you're just trying to make some gold. Before we get into all the glyph stone locations, I do just want to say if this video helps you out or if you just like it, please give it a like. It really does help me out a lot. And if you want to see more content like this, including more loot run videos, build videos, stuff like that, definitely subscribe to the channel so you know when those videos do go live. I also stream throughout the week over on Twitch as well as YouTube, so definitely stop by a stream, say hello, lurk, anything like that. We would love to have you. But let's get into today's video. Alright, so to get us started, we are going to start with food glyphs. Now, the order that we're going to be doing these in are going to be from least valuable to most valuable based on the price that they are on the trading post over here on US East Marama. Now, definitely check your own server to make sure, but on average, what you're going to find is all the servers will have kind of a different supply and demand. But for the most part, the glyphs that are worth more on our server, as well as your server, should be pretty similar, just the prices are going to fluctuate a bit. But food glyphs coming in at the bottom are about 8 cents over here on Marama, and they can be found at Castrum Victualis. Now, Castrum Victualis is another really good spot to farm for ancient globs of ectoplasm. So whether you're going for your own runeglass or for some gold, you could definitely come here. Now, again, the glyph stones for food glyphs are not very expensive, but if you do need them for some runeglass or anything like that, or just to stockpile while you're also farming up some globs, it's a pretty decent spot to hit. The next glyph we are going to be looking at is the destruction glyph. Now, these over on Marama are going for about 12 cents, so again, not a very valuable one, but pretty easy to farm. So they are found over at Castrum Principium. This is where if you see for a chest run, if they're Xing up for cast or saying cast next, this is where they'll be going. So normally you're going to go from Worm Sign Obelisk. There's a little hill right here that you can climb up, and then you follow this road, and this is the entrance. Now, if you do stick with your brimstone loot runs and you are keeping up with chest runs and they're going here, you probably have a decent amount of destruction glyphs, but they really aren't worth all that much. They're not used for the most useful rune glass. People farm them every day if they're doing their chest runs, so there's not as much demand, but a lot of supply for it. Okay, so the next two glyphs that we're actually going to be looking at are the strength glyphs as well as the chaos glyphs, and both of these can actually be found here over at Helios. Now, the glyphs are a little bit out of order. I know I said we were going from least valuable to most valuable. Strength glyphs are definitely kind of the third at least valuable one, and those over here on Marama are selling for about 17 cents. So again, not very valuable, but still pretty easy to farm if you're sticking with the chest runs. As far as the chaos glyphs go, those are selling for around 6 gold or so on Marama, so a little bit more expensive, but still not crazy expensive. A lot of times people are running Helios every single day, and so between all the ads as well as the various loot chests and stuff, you can accumulate quite a few different glyph stones while just running Helios. But for this, if you are not aware, this is the start of Helios. Typically, you can either leave from settlement or you can leave from the Shrine of the Nine up there, and then you're going to meet here for the chest run. Okay, so the next glyph that we are looking at are above glyphs. Now, those of you, again, who have been running your chest runs for the most part daily in Brimstone probably have a whole bunch of these accumulated because these drop over at the wall elite area. So you need to be doing the elite area for them to drop, but if you are joining with a chest run, you more than likely will pull a bunch of these. They're very, very common. The demand is fairly low. The supply is very, very high. Over here on Marama, they're selling for around 90 cents to $1. So again, not super valuable, but if you stockpile, hundreds of them, they can be valuable for some. Now, for those of you who don't know for the wall, when you are going to be going here, you'll follow this road, go up around. There's going to be this door here. Once you open it, you are going to then go up the stairs. You can actually use your mount here. And then you'll go up the stairs, and we are going to go left. And you just follow this all the way around. It'll say that your mount is restricted, or it's a restricted area. Just keep running. You can go all the way around here. And then I will show you right here is the start of the run. So when you are going for a wall run, if you are Xing up to go with the chest run, this is where it will begin. And then you can go and farm up all the loot, including the above glyphs. The next glyph that we are going to be looking at are the sealed glyphs, and these can be found over at the gates of Sutek. Just take this outpost here, head north up the road, and that is the area that you're going to hit. Now, this is a pretty straightforward area. There's going to be loot that you can climb up in. There were some quests that might have taken you here, so you might be familiar with the area. But with these sealed glyphs, they're selling for about $1 on our server over on Marama. So pretty similar to the above glyphs, not overly expensive. So if you do just need to buy them, you definitely could. But if you happen to stockpile a whole bunch, you could sell them, make just a little bit of extra gold. But this one, again, pretty straightforward. Just got to head over here, head north from this outpost, and you can go and farm your sealed glyphs. The next glyph that we are going to be looking at are sun glyphs. Now, sun glyphs have one location that they can drop in, and that is going to be Solarium. Now, Solarium is a little bit more of a pain to farm up because of the fact that there are only 4 glyph chests and 2 non-glyph chests that you can farm throughout the day. But with the glyph chests that are actually in Solarium, you can only get those during the day and once a day. So it cannot be nighttime in game, otherwise you cannot collect them. And since they are elite chests, you can only pull them once a day. But there are 2 ancient chests in there that you can gather all day, and those are on a normal cooldown, so every hour you can go and collect them. And then obviously Kepri, the main boss that is inside Solarium, also can drop the sun glyphs. Sun glyphs are going for about $17 over here on Marama, so a little bit more valuable, but still not crazy. So it is one of those things where if you're just trying to make some gold, maybe stockpile those for a bit, see what the price goes for on your server, and sell whenever you notice that price is kind of high. But this is the Star Solarium right over by Helios here. We'll peek our head inside here just to show you. We have the 4 glyph chests, and then we have the 2 ancient chests on either side. And we are gonna leave because Kepri is watching. Okay, so the next glyph that we are looking at is the mountain glyph. Now, mountain glyphs can be found here over at Diospolis, and with this location, it's pretty easy to run. There's going to be loot chests throughout the area as well as some ads, and then you're going to see the door to actually enter the pyramid. Now, you do not need to go into the pyramid because the mountain glyphs do not drop there, but if you do want to try to get a little extra loot, you can definitely run through there. There's a decent amount of loot in there that you can go and get. And then also for myself, I will sometimes just run through the area quickly just because if I'm doing my Golden Scarab run, want to just extend the run a little bit. You can hop on over because my run starts here at Mercurial Shrine and then it hops up and then I can go and do the Mountain Glyph area and then just continue on my way once I'm done. But totally up to you. They sell for about 19 gold over here on Marama, so definitely check your own server because I do see the price on these fluctuate a bit between like maybe 20 and 50, sometimes a little bit more, not oftentimes too much less. So definitely check your own server to see how the mountain glyphs are selling. All right, so the next glyph that we are going to be looking at is the shadow glyph. Now, shadow glyphs can be found over here at the elite area of Beds of Tabajet. And with these, you can definitely run with the chest run group if you are doing like a world tour or something like that. Otherwise, you can go here by yourself, and it's not too bad to actually get the loot in the cave. But on top of the cave, you can actually farm some of the loot as well. So let me show you here where you can actually get them. So there's a chest right here. I'm not going to gather them right away, but there's a chest right there. A chest over here. When you go up top. Right here. There's the glyph chest over there. There's another chest down there. And there is one other one around the corner. So these ancient chests you can actually gather throughout the day. It's on an hour-long cooldown like the rest of the regular loot. The glyph chest, obviously, you can only get once a day, but this is all considered part of beds. So you do not actually have to go and do the full elite area if you don't want to. If you just want to come here and just do a quick loop, grab some of this loot and run. Now, shadow glyphs are starting to get a little bit more expensive compared to some of the others that we've looked at, and those currently are going for around 88 gold over here on Marama. So definitely, if you need them for your runeglass or some gold, it's definitely worth to stop here every so often and try to farm some up. Okay, so the next glyph that we are looking at is the gift glyph. Now, gift glyphs can be found over here at Hermopolis. And to get to Hermopolis, you can definitely, leave settlement and run here. Otherwise, from Beds of Tabajet, at the very top, there was the portal. And if you take that portal, it will bring you here. Now, this area does have a decent amount of loot spread out around. Otherwise, if you need to actually farm up the gift glyphs for a bit, I would suggest going around and killing everything in the area. There's a decent amount of ads. Spawn rate's not too bad either, so you won't, be waiting around too much. So if you do big loops around this area, you should have no problem farming up some gift glyphs. Now, these are starting to get a little bit more expensive even yet. These are going for right around 190 to 100. So again, another one that is probably worthwhile farming up if you're trying to get a little bit of gold, but also if you need them for your own runeglass, it does get expensive if you're buying them. So a pretty solid spot to go out and farm up some of the gift glyphs. The next glyph we are looking at is the river glyph, and these can be found over here at Wadi El Sobek, and this area is a bit of a pain to farm them. Now, I do not necessarily like farming this area, so I don't farm them up even for gold, but you can definitely come here. There's a few chests throughout this area. There's really not much as far as loot caches or chests, but there are a bunch of these alligators. Now, these alligators, they do have a chance at dropping the glyphs for you, but it is a pain. As you can see, there's a chest here, and then if you go further back here, there's a little bit of Azoth water, but then there's going to be Lord Sobek, the named gator, as well as a few stockpiles and some other loot and all that. So again, not a great area as far as farming goes, because you're forced to have to farm up the alligators themselves to actually farm up too many of these glyphs. But they do go for about 110 gold over here on Marama, so they are worthwhile in the sense of if you happen to pull them. But again, it is one where if you need them for your own runeglass, it can be kind of a pain because it's not the fastest farm to get them, and it can definitely add up in cost if you need multiples of them. Okay, the next glyph that we are looking at is the water glyph, and this one is my favorite to farm up for gold. So this one can be found over here at Serpent's Pass. Normally I'll just take the Cradle's Rest Shrine and head on up over to Serpent's Pass. Now there are quite a few loot chests in the area and a bunch of ads that's pretty easy to group up and farm. And these are going for around 190 over here on Marama, and that price does fluctuate. Oftentimes it can go up, sometimes it'll go a little below, but it never really drops below 100 or 120 gold. That's kind of the lowest that I will ever see these at, but it's a really pretty easy farm if you are looking to make some extra gold. Like I said, there's a bunch of ads in the area. You can run around here, there's ads, there's loot chests, and oftentimes there are other people here farming them. So if you do see some other people, it does help to kind of group up sometimes, so then you can all get credit for some of these kills. But it just kind of depends on how long you're also planning on staying here. So this area though, like I said, is fantastic. And also don't forget, when you are in this area, as you're looping around, you want to move around each of these structures, and as you rotate around to the back, there's also some ads back here, as well as a couple extra chests. So you do want to make sure you run all the way back here, get this stockpile. There's an alchemy crate, as well as one other stockpile right over on the corner here. So this area, like I said, as far as making gold from glyphs, this is probably the spot that I have made the most gold from, because of the fact that water glyphs are always in demand, and the supply, even if it does go up, the price still is pretty decent on them. So pretty easy gold no matter how you look at it. Okay, so the last glyph that we are going to be looking at is the most expensive, but also the absolute biggest pain in the butt to farm up. And that is going to be the night glyph. Those can be found here over at the Ordeal of the Scorpion. And these, again, are a huge pain. You can only get them at night. You can only farm the one chest in the area once per day. And then the only other way to get them is the named scorpion that spawns in. You need to hope that you get more than one spawn per night, because it will only spawn at night. And then you can get up to 3 spawns per night. I have seen 3 spawns twice, I think, ever when I was farming up Scorpion Sting, because this is the same location that you can farm up the artifact, which is Scorpion Sting. A lot of you might have already farmed this up, and a lot of you might not want to ever come back here ever again, and I don't blame you. I am the same way. I have not been here since I pulled the spear, really, or since most of us have pulled it. None of us have really bothered coming back. So The supply is very, very low for night glyphs. The demand is kind of high, kind of not, just depends on the person. But the glyphs themselves are very, very expensive. Over here on Marama, they're actually low in price right now at 570, but I've seen them go up well past 1,000 in the past. So definitely, if you have some of them from farming up Scorpion Sting, maybe sit on them and see what they go for on your server before you decide to just sell them, because 570 is a little bit on the lower end compared to what I've seen in the past. Even within just the last week or two, I've seen that price go over 1,000. So see how it is on your server, but night glyphs are the biggest pain. Can only get them at night, so good luck farming these. Whether you're making runeglass or making gold, hopefully this guide has helped you out. But do keep in mind when we're looking at the gold prices that over here on Marama, our prices might be different from your server. In general, though, when you see what's most popular as far as what's selling for the most, you'll find that a lot of servers are very, very similar, where water glyphs in general will be a little bit more expensive. It's just the specific cost is going to fluctuate from server to server. So keep an eye on your server, see what's happening, see how the prices change. You'll get a good idea as far as what's considered high, what's considered low, and then from there you can kind of decide when is it worth it to actually sell some of these glyphs, as opposed to just kind of sitting on them and waiting until that price changes. The other thing that can also kind of fluctuate with the glyphs is the meta. So as meta shifts, sometimes you'll notice that certain runeglass and certain glyph stones will go up or down in price. So that's another thing to kind of think about as we move into future seasons and future patches and all that. But that is going to do it for today's video. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.